Conservative new media viewers and J-Lin fans around the world, what's going on? We are here to analyze and go over Houston's 117-109 loss tonight to the Los Angeles Clippers. With the loss, Houston drops to 21-18 on the year, and they have lost 4 games in a row. The Clippers are now 30-9 on the season, and they have won 2 games in a row. Now look, the overall summary here is that the Clippers are an elite team. Houston is not an elite team. Houston's a good team. They're a good young team. But the Clippers are at the top of the league. The Clippers are one of the top 3 teams in the league, along with San Antonio and the Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder. And you could put Miami there when the postseason rolls around. Miami's not playing that great right now, but they'll play at a different level when the postseason comes around. So the Clippers are in that top 4 teams. They are a phenomenal team. And if you haven't seen them play before tonight's game, this gave you a really good idea of how good they really are. And you'll note that they were playing without Chris Paul, who is a legitimate MVP candidate, and they were playing on a back-to-back against a good team that was rested in that team's building. And the Clippers still got it done, and they got it done relatively easily. So it just shows you how good they are and what the difference is between a good team and an elite team. Okay, let's talk about Jeremy. Jeremy had a good game. He had a good game. There was a tough stretch for him on defense against Eric Bledsoe and Jamal Crawford in particularly the third quarter. But overall, he played very well in this game. I'm not going to stamp this as a Linsanity 2.0 game, but it was very close. Very close. I think for me personally, if he would have scored like 15, 16 points, then I would have said it was a Linsanity 2.0 game. Jeremy had 12 points, 1 rebound, 10 assists. He played 35 minutes, shot 5 of 11 from the field, 1 of 4 from three-point range. He was 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 steals, no block shots, 1 turnover. He was a minus 12 in plus-minus, and his overall efficiency number was 17. Now, the thing, of course, that immediately stands out is he had 10 assists and 1 turnover. That's amazing. That's incredible. And the turnover that he had was very early in the game, and he had just gotten a rebound, I think, and he was trying to make a pass ahead. And it wasn't a bad pass, but Eric Bledsoe just jumped out of the building and intercepted it. And that's something that happens with teams when they play the Clippers. You have to adjust to how athletic they are. And that's what that turnover was. Most guys couldn't intercept that pass, but Eric Bledsoe could. And that's what happened to Jeremy. Jeremy had a good pace in this game, and he had good flow throughout the entire game. Like I said, he had some struggles on defense a little bit here and there, but he played well. He played loose. And even though he missed some threes, again, his shot looked good. He was getting shots in rhythm. He was getting the shot. His body was squared up. He was getting what he wanted. And that's good to see. We've talked, I think in the last video that Jeremy's played about, 21 of the 29 other teams in the league coming into this game. So this is like number 22 or 23. And I said, he's starting to get used to it all. There's not a lot now that he hasn't seen. There are not a lot of opponents that he hasn't played. And he's getting more comfortable with the Houston offense, even though he still has to improve certain skills to be able to perform well in the offense. So it's kind of like everything is getting more comfortable for him. And I thought he demonstrated that tonight. Now, we've talked about it before. If you notice his three-point shots that were missed tonight, the first miss was a short it was short. It hit the front of the rim. The second miss was long. It hit like the back of the rim. And I think the third miss hit the front of the rim again. And all three of those misses were pretty open. Like they were pretty open shots, which goes back to what I said about his shot and the problems that he has on his three-point shot. There's not a consistent shot there. If the shot were consistent, usually you would see the same reason for the miss again and again. For example, if a guy comes in and he's shooting and all of his shots hit the front of the rim and they're short, then what you'll usually say is, well, his legs are probably tired. He's not getting the right lift on his legs, and so that's why he's missing the shot. With the Jeremy's misses on the three-pointers, the misses are all over the place. They're long, they're short, they're this, they're that. And that goes back to it doesn't appear that he's shooting the same way again and again. And that's a problem. That's a problem that we've talked about. And as I said, I think that the most important thing that Jeremy will work on in this upcoming offseason is his three-point shot. Maybe he's out there putting up 500 three-point shots a day. You go out, you take a guy or two that can serve as your rebounder and passer. You take out your shot coach, and you do it every single day. And I'm sure Jeremy will do that. Now, as we've also talked about, he might feel that he needs to totally redo his shot. Just completely redo the mechanics and how he's doing it and everything. If that's the case, then it's a longer-term project. Then it might not get fixed completely in the next off season. Even if he shot 500 shots a day and didn't fix it, didn't break down his shot, it's still, he's not going to come in next year and be Ray Allen. It's going to take time. But if he decides that he needs to change his form completely, then that will lengthen the process for him to become a consistent three-point shooter. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. In this type of a situation, you just want to make sure you get it right. If you need to break down the shot and rebuild it, then do that, even if it takes longer. Just like we've said before, okay, this offense isn't set up for Jeremy, but that's all right because he's going to develop different skills. And so it'll take longer, but he's going to become a complete player. So, he'll decide in this offseason. He'll decide what he wants to do and how he wants to approach it. But I'm sure that will be the primary focus of his off-season regimen. Is going to be working on his jump shot, along with other things. But I think the jump shot, the three-point shot, will probably be the thing he works the most on. If I were him, it would be the thing I would work the most on. All right, let's talk a little bit, some quarter-by-quarter stuff here. Early in the first quarter, as I mentioned, that's when Jeremy had that turnover that he threw and Eric Bledsoe intercepted. In the middle of the first quarter, once again, we saw another J-Lin full-court pass. This one was to James Harden, driving to the hoop for a layup. It's just as I said, people take it for granted. Almost nobody can do this consistently. And Jeremy does it pretty much every single game. A lot of often he'll do it multiple times per game. And he'll have a turnover on it here and there, but he doesn't have very many turnovers with it. So, I mean, it's a real offensive weapon for him and for the team. And he did it again. He did it again. I mean, it's pretty clear that it's a real skill of his. Late in the first quarter, Jeremy had a nice step-back jump shot against Matt Barnes. Now, he didn't make the shot, but the move was really good. And we've talked about this before. Jeremy needs to continue to work on his individual perimeter offensive moves. And that's what that was against Barnes. He kind of faked him, set him up a little bit. I think he got him going backwards. And take a little step back, shoot a jump shot, and you've got space to shoot. It was a good move, even though he didn't make the shot. He almost hit the shot. It was very close. I think it hit both sides of the rim. It was nearly on target, but still good move and good to see that he continues to work on individual moves. Of course, you guys saw the video from yesterday where I said that Jeremy hurt his ankle. I wasn't sure if he was going to play tonight. Obviously, he did play, and I know that a reporter soon after the injury said, "Hey, Jeremy's cool." He told me he's cool. I can't remember the guy's first name, but his last name is Chen, and I know he works for Houston, for the Rockets. So it was a good job by him getting that information pretty quickly. So it's good. It's great that Jeremy wasn't too hurt. Early in the second quarter, Jeremy was doing real well. He got a layup for himself, and he set up two other guys for layups. And the team was doing a good job of scoring with James Harden not on the floor. And as we've mentioned before, that is critical for this team. That is one of the weaknesses of this team. And so the more that they are able to put points on the board when James Harden is resting, the better they're going to be in individual games and as an opponent. So it was good to see that they were able to do that. They pretty much stayed even with the Clippers while James Harden rested for like 5 minutes of game time. I was thinking about this, Jeremy struggles in this offense, in the Houston offense, which is, as we've talked about before, it is geared for either enclosed shots like post-ups, Greg Smith posting up in the paint, or three-pointers. And as we know, that's not Jeremy's game. That's not what he's good at this stage of his career. And it kind of reminded me of the struggles that Pau Gasol is having for the Los Angeles Lakers right now. Because Mike D'Antoni's offense, which is somewhat similar to what Houston runs. It's not the exact same thing, but it's similar. Again, very perimeter-oriented, shooting a bunch of threes, etc. Well, Pau Gasol right now looks like he doesn't know how to play basketball. I mean, he's being asked to do things he's not good at. Shoot three-point shots and set up way away from the basket. Well, it's not that Pau Gasol forgot how to play basketball. It's just he's in a system that's not utilizing his strengths. That's a lot of what's happened to Jeremy right now and this year. And Jeremy will adjust to it the same way that Pau Gasol will adjust to the D'Antoni system. And D'Antoni will make some changes so that it helps Pau Gasol. That's what's happening for Jeremy. Again, Jeremy, he's still going to have bad games, and he's still not going to fit in perfectly with this offense all the time. But it's, I think it's a good comparison. Pau Gasol is a good player. Jeremy Lin's a good player. So it's not a perfect fit in terms of the offensive system. So I was just thinking about that tonight. Late in the second quarter, Jeremy hit a right corner, almost three-pointer in transition. Jeremy just stepped on the line. It was a great shot. It was wide open. That put Houston up 52-45. The Clippers were called a timeout right after that. That was probably the best moment of the night for Houston. And it was probably the best moment of the night for Jeremy. It was great. Like I said, Jeremy was in rhythm, playing loose and well, and it was good to see. Right after that, or very soon after that moment, the Clippers really turned up the heat on defense and offense. And then they went on this huge run from the end of the second quarter into the third quarter. It was basically like a 33-9 scoring run. And, even though Jeremy did well and he had a good little burst there to end the second half, it's just, again, you're playing against a better team. And in the third quarter, you saw Jamal Crawford just, doing what he's capable of doing. He was putting up big points against Jeremy. He was putting up big points against anybody. If you've never seen Jamal Crawford play, He's about 6'4", 6'5". He's got amazing ball handling skills, and he's a great shot maker, meaning he can get a shot and hit a shot anytime he wants from anywhere on the court. Three-pointer, two-pointer, off the dribble, catch and shoot, anything. He's always been a good player, but this year might be his best year. And you saw it. You saw it there. We had like the 3 baskets in a row against Jeremy. That wasn't Jeremy playing poorly. That's just Jamal Crawford doing what he's capable of doing. When he gets into that type of zone, nobody can stop him. I don't care who it is. I mean, he's got a couple inches on Jeremy, but it doesn't matter. Jamal Crawford is so good at putting up and hitting difficult shots and creating space that you could have a guy 6'8" guarding him and it would hardly matter. And so my point being, it's not that Jeremy was humiliated. Jamal Crawford does that to guys day in and day out. So it's not fun that it happened to Jeremy tonight, but that happens all the time. So we don't need to put Jamal Crawford on the revenge tour list, because if there was a revenge tour list for Jamal Crawford, it'd be the whole league, because he's done it to everybody. So that's just the way it goes. I mean, that's just what Jamal Crawford is capable of. Similarly, we don't need to put Eric Bledsoe on the revenge tour list, because he played well. He outplayed Jeremy. His efficiency number is 25. Jeremy's was 17. He got the better of Jeremy, and he's a third-year guard, just as Jeremy is. And I like Eric Bledsoe a lot. I think his game is good. He's very athletic. I'm glad he's getting a chance to do well this year, playing behind Chris Paul, and he's done great. But Jeremy played fine tonight. Revenge tour to me is when guys deliberately go at you and really, maybe they're trying to make you look bad, or they just completely outplay you or whatever. We talked about with Drew Holiday in the Philadelphia game the other day. Drew Holiday's efficiency number was 5 times more than Jeremy's, 30 versus 6. That's revenge tour, in my opinion. Losing a battle against a guy 25-17 in efficiency, that's not a revenge tour. Losing to Jamal Crawford on defense, there is no revenge tour. That's just what Jamal Crawford does. That's who he is. So, that was my thoughts about that, and that little burst in which Crawford and Bledsoe were doing really well in the third quarter, mostly against Jeremy. What Jeremy needs to do, as we've talked about, to become a consistently better scorer is, obviously, he needs to shoot the three-point shot better. He needs to continue to work on his individual perimeter moves, like the one he did against Matt Barnes, and he needs to continue to work at being able to draw fouls better. There were a couple of times tonight where he drove to the basket and he was looking for a foul and he didn't get it. This is where he can learn from James Harden and just pick up some tips. It's a real skill to be able to draw fouls. And as we've talked about in other videos, you want to be able to draw fouls without getting beaten up and knocked to the ground and all this type of stuff. Jeremy did have one time tonight where he got the rebound, I think, and he drove the length of the court and he put up a shot, and Eric Bledsoe fouled him. That was good. But there were a couple other times where he went to the basket and he didn't get the foul, even though he was trying to get a foul. So, again, as he improves on that, that will make his scoring even better. His free throw attempts per game this year are considerably lower than they were last year. I want to say like 3 or 4 attempts per game. So when he's getting those, that's going to boost up his scoring. I mean, that'll be another couple points a game. You combine that with three-point shooting being better and being able to get his shot a little bit easier on individual moves. And, you're talking about 5 to 10 more points per game, 9 in, 9 out. So, midway through the fourth quarter, Jeremy had a couple of nice passes for dunks, and then he himself hit a shot from the right elbow. As we talked about, the elbow is one of the corners of the lane where you shoot the free throws from. And, he was doing his thing. He was doing the Mr. Fourth Quarter, Mr. Clutch, but the Clippers were just too good. It wasn't enough tonight. But Jeremy did what he was able to do. He had a nice little burst for himself in the fourth quarter. Right, the summary of this game is Houston just played a better team. The Clippers are, in my opinion, they are very serious title contenders. Anybody that they play, as long as they're healthy, and they still don't have Chauncey Billups. I mean, they've done everything they've done, and Chauncey Billups isn't even playing yet, who is a shooting guard / point guard who is phenomenal and a former finals MVP. If they're fully healthy, it's going to be hard to beat them. Really, really hard. There's only a few teams that are going to have a chance to do it, and those are the other couple of teams that I mentioned that are at the top of the league. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that those teams are going to beat them. The Clippers have everything. So it's going to be interesting to see. It's unfortunate that Houston is now having a 4-game losing streak. They went from 21-14, 7 games over 500, and now they're only 3 games over 500, and teams like the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks are starting to play better. So it's like, went from, we're rolling into the playoffs to, oh boy, are we going to make the playoffs? But it happens. This is, as we talked about, this is the toughest month of the schedule for them. This is the hard part. So they just need to endure it, do the best that they can during this stretch, and wait for the storm clouds to pass over them. Now, you saw at the end of this game, we got to see Patrick Beverley come into the game. Patrick Beverley is the point guard / shooting guard that I've talked to you guys about recently that was signed from a team in Europe, I believe, was down with Houston's developmental league, D-League team for a short period of time, and they brought him up. In fact, I think they brought him up just before tonight's game. I think he was brought up because of Jeremy hurt his ankle. In other words, they thought, well, Jeremy might be out. We need another guard. Look, the guy came in. He hit a 3. He had a nice dish to Tony Douglas for a 3. As I said, I really believe Patrick Beverley is going to help this team out. And I know I mentioned the other day that there's another guard down on Houston's D-League team now, Terrell Harris, who I think also might be able to help the team. Now, you can't put everybody on this team. I mean, in other words, if you bring Terrell Harris up, well, then somebody else is going to have to go down, or someone else is going to be wearing a suit on the sidelines instead of playing on the active roster. But as I've said, this team needs more guard help because they're going to be nights when they can't score without James Harden in the game. It's going to be nights when Jeremy's not playing well and Tony Douglas isn't playing well. We've seen that before this year. So you want to have somebody else that can come in and do it. And Patrick Beverley might be that guy. Like I said, he's very athletic. He's very aggressive. And he looked good in the short minutes that he got tonight. So hopefully he will be that guy. And if he's not that guy, maybe Terrell Harris is that guy. So I like what Houston's doing. They're shoring up their bench. They are strengthening their bench, and they need to do that. And it's happening, so it's good to see. Again, Jeremy played solidly. This was a good performance by him, even though the team lost. As I said, it's a borderline Linsanity 2.0 performance. Certainly 10 assists and 1 turnover is Linsanity 2.0. So I really don't have any problem with the way he played tonight. I thought he played well. Now, the next game is at the Dallas Mavericks tomorrow night. The tough schedule continues, back-to-back on the road, and Dallas is playing better now. I think they've won something like 4 games in a row. Dirk Nowitzki is he's now back in the starting lineup. He's almost back to full condition. He was coming back from injury earlier in this year. So that's not going to be an easy game. Hopefully it turns out to be a Houston blowout, but Dallas has a chance to sneak into the playoffs. They know that. Their owner, Mark Cuban, knows that. Mark Cuban has been talking about the team is going to make moves before the trade deadline to strengthen up. They want to make a run at the playoffs. So it's going to be tough. Earlier in this year, Dallas was not doing anything. I mean, anybody could beat them, but that's not the case anymore. So I expect tomorrow's night's game to be a tough one. Now, just a couple of quick comments. I haven't had a chance to do the comments and questions video. I will work at that. It just hasn't happened yet. My energy level still isn't that hot from being sick. EMZ Chen, you're asking me about the video stuff, the video editing stuff, and rendering and falling asleep when rendering. The short version of this, maybe I'll say more when I do the comment video. The short version is the ratio between how long it takes for my stuff to render versus the length of the video is about 1.25 to 1. So it's a little bit slower than real-time rendering. My computer isn't the best, and my video editing software isn't the best. These are things I want to improve. I just haven't had the ability to do that yet, but I'll work on it. So, look, it doesn't matter most of the time. Look, I mean, sure, I would love to be able to render a 30-minute video in 15 minutes. That'd be great. Make it a 1-to-2 ratio to real time instead of 2 to 1 or 1.25 to 1. But it's not that big of a deal. The biggest problem was just that I've been sick. So I was just like, if I make a 40-minute video and it takes about 45 or 50 minutes to render, to save, then, I'm sitting there, I'm rendering it, I lay down and I fall asleep. I mean, that's what happened to me for the last, couple of game videos, but that won't continue just because I won't stay sick. So, but I appreciate, that you were asking me about that. And certainly, Lynn Amos, I thought your comments in the other video were great. I know you were saying, oh, these comments are stupid. No, they weren't stupid. They were awesome. As you said, Jeremy's not a superhero. He's a real person. Jeremy does have ups and downs like all the rest of us do. He's not a cartoon character. He's not a myth, et cetera, et cetera. He's a real person. As I said, I think that's why we can all relate to him well. He's real. He's not, he's not something we can't relate to. So I think it's good. I do think that children will be able to learn from Jeremy Lin. Like I was saying to Jack Roberts or Jack London. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name right now. Jack London. He was talking about his kids learning from Lin, and it is good. Like I said, look, the reason why certain sports personalities and other personalities go down the whole myth building route is for marketing purposes, is for, that person's so amazing. I just want to be like them. I want to buy their shoes and blah, blah, blah. So I understand that. And there's a reason for that. There's a psychology of that as it applies to marketing and these types of things. But, like I said, I personally prefer the kind of reality and real people as opposed to, the cult of personality type of thing. And that's why it's fun. Like I said, it's why it's fun to watch Jeremy. We get to see him develop. Again, last year he was on the couch. There's no myth there. And he's a real person. And we get to see him learn and grow. And that's, as I said, that's part of the reason why I point out what he is working on and what he's not good at. I mean, I could go the other route. I could not talk about the things he's not good at, ever. And there are some people, as I said, there are people that watch the videos and stuff, that comment on it, that wish I didn't do that. They want to build up the myth. And I understand that. That's cool. But, again, I mean, it's not real. That's not real life. So I prefer to do it the other way. As you said, I thought the comment was great. Lanamos, we are all human beings, regardless of what our backgrounds are. We all do have ups and downs. And, it's great. It's great that we can come together watching Jeremy or in any other way. And I said, I mean, you mentioned that's why you're fans of us and our videos. And that's what we try to do. I mean, I know we're just real people. I mean, John and I do a whole bunch of different stuff. We've done a bunch of political stuff. We've done a whole bunch of different things. And we've been criticized before by a number of people for not doing this, or you should do it this way, or you guys, John, you should be in your videos with a little suit and tie, and that's just not how we are. I mean, it's not that we can't do it, but that's not what we are. We're more just more reality based. We don't. That's not our game. That's not our gimmick, so to speak. I mean, we can do it, but we don't want to do it. There might come a time where we choose to do it for certain events or certain videos, but in a lot of time we don't do it just because we're not trying to play that game. And that goes back to what you said, Lanamos, which is, everybody's a real person here. Everybody's real. It's not, we're not trying to be up on top of the mountain looking down at the unwashed masses, so to speak. It's kind of silly. And like I said, Jeremy's the same way. He's just a normal dude who went to Harvard and was trying to make it in the NBA. And he's talented, but he's not like ridiculously talented. So I think a lot of people can relate to him, and that works better. I'll give you a good example of this. The reason why people like LeBron or Kobe or Michael Jordan are more revered, so to speak, than people like Shaq or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar or Wilt Chamberlain is because people can relate to them better. Now, Kobe and MJ and LeBron, they're all taller and bigger than most of us, but not as tall and as big as the centers guys are, like Shaq and Wilt and Kareem. So people can relate to them better. It's not as interesting to watch somebody the size of Shaq just move people out of the way and dunk when he's got to jump like 10 inches to dunk. It's much more interesting to watch Michael Jordan jump 50 inches into the air and do artistic moves. So people can relate better with the smaller guys. And that's what it is for Jeremy. Jeremy's more relatable than a lot of other people, I think. And I think that's a big reason of why he has appeal. And again, that's what we try to do. We're just, sure, John is John's a super genius, and we're proud of our backgrounds and the good fortune that we've had in terms of educations and natural ability. But we're just normal dudes, man. We grew up on a farm, and we're just living our life the same way you are and the same way everybody else is that's watching this video. So I thought your comments are great, Lanamos, so keep them up. Okay, comments below about this game and this video, thumbs up, thumbs down. We will include information about video highlights and box score and game stories in the video description below the video player. We'll also include information there about how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group, which has over 2,000 members and growing all the time. I am Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. we strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Hope you're all having a great day, great night, wherever you are when you're watching this. We will talk to you again soon. Go Jeremy Lin. Go Rockets. Go Red Nation.